And we are back. Sorry about that, guys. We are back. Let me get my boy Sean McCormack back on the line. Can you guys hear me? Give me a little test here, guys. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Because we are back. I do apologize for that. Don't know exactly what happened. Played some music for my boy Sean, and, man, everything got muted. Don't know what happened. Let's get him on, though.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, my boy? How are you, man?
What's up, bud?
I don't know what happened there. I think the Beastie Boys broke my computer. So who knows? Anyway, we have Sean McCormack on the line. He is under the gun. And, dude, man, you are everywhere. First of all, congratulations on everything. Well-deserved, okay?
Thanks, bud.
Really, really excited for you. I think Wayne Chang is screwing me now. He says, can't see anything. You shut up, okay? Anyway, so let's see. What I was saying before, you are from Massachusetts, went to high school in Massachusetts, graduated in 1998. So, right at the, certainly in Beastie Boys territory. When did you move to Vegas and why?
Wow, that's a pretty good story, actually. I actually, before I moved to Vegas, I got into the industry in Florida, believe it or not, and I worked for like a really small like dog track that also had like poker, and it wasn't a big thing in Florida at the time. I mean, the max you could bet was like $2 limit hold'em. It was crazy. I mean, there was no limit hold'em. There was no no PLO or anything, and they've kind of taken all that off now, and now it's like full reign on everything poker-wise. But, yeah, it was just $2 pots and, $2 bets, and got in the industry there and actually went and did an event for the World Poker Tour in 2006 in Tunica, Mississippi. And the guys that, like, run the Bellagio happened to be there assisting with the event, and I caught the eye of some of the managers that worked there at the time, and they told me, they said, hey man, you're a good dealer. If you're ever in Vegas and you want a job, look us up. So, I kind of like chuckled about it, went back home, and me and my buddy at the time, like it was probably not even a month later, we looked at each other and said, hey man, why don't we just move to Vegas? Why don't we just do this?
Okay, hold on a second. I want to hear the rest of the story. But before we get to Vegas, yeah, you're right. So, so I'm looking this up. So, yeah, you talked about Daytona Beach Kennel Club, right? So you dealt there for a while. You were there for like 3 years. What got you from Mass to Florida, first off?
Out of high school, took a year off to figure things out, and decided to go to school and went to school for computer engineering. So, loved writing code. I've been writing code since I was like 6 years old. It's kind of crazy, but fell out of love with it. And a buddy of mine was like, hey man, let's get out of the cold. And he actually opened a business in Jacksonville, Florida. So he's like, hey man, just come down with me. You can help run the business, and we'll go from there. And it took all of 2 weeks, and I could not take Jacksonville. For one, they didn't have poker there at the time. Best Bet wasn't there. There was really nothing for me to do. And ended up moving to Orlando, which was like, I was early 20s, so it was just a much younger scene.
Right.
And that's when I started playing home games. I started dealing the home games and stuff like that. My buddy's like, hey, man, you should be a dealer. And, you're talking 2003, so the world was very different. So literally I got into it at the same time that Moneymaker was winning the main event.
Were you playing too?
I played in home games. We played like $100 like sit and goes and stuff like that. I wasn't like traveling to Vegas or traveling anywhere playing at the time. I didn't actually start playing, more than recreationally until I actually moved to Vegas.
Okay. What was there? Was there you said you grew up in Mass, obviously. You wrote code. Was there something that got you into poker in the first place?
Yeah, my dad.
Your dad. Okay.
I think everybody started out with a dad or an uncle or even I love the stories people tell me their grandmother used to take their pennies at the kitchen table.
Right.
I think we all have those stories, and my dad just loved to play cards. He's a big 7-card stud player, obviously in the Northeast. stud is still kind of big. It's, stud is dying everywhere, but still in the Northeast, you can still go to Borgata and other places, Foxwoods, and still play stud. And, that stud was his game, and I learned, that was the first game I really learned. And that's what got the itch for me. And that's how I knew, I was going to, no matter what I ended up doing in life, that poker would be involved at some point.
Once again, we have Sean McCormack, Director of Poker Operations at Aria. He is under the gun. You can follow him on Twitter at @ThePokerBoss. And this guy has been on fire. He won an American Poker Award just a couple of months ago. In addition, the Aria won one, and he was there to represent for the Super High Roller Bowl. So congratulations on that as well. Okay, so let's take it back to, so you guys you're dealing in Tunica. Some guys at Bellagio notice you. They say this guy can deal, and you and your buddy are like, whatever. What the fuck? Let's go to Vegas.
Yeah, pretty much how it happened. Like I said, it's a really funny story because it was 3:00 on like a random Tuesday afternoon. I'll never forget. And I told my buddy, I said, hey man, let's who also was dealing with me in Daytona at the time. I said, hey, let's pack up the car and go to Vegas. And my buddy's crazy and he loves poker and he loves just the Vegas life. And he said, you know what, man? If you come pick me up tonight, we'll go. And sure enough, that night I showed up at his door, honked the horn, thinking, hey, he didn't take me seriously. And sure enough, he had his bags packed, ready to go, and we took off for Vegas that night.
Were you gonna? I mean, if he hadn't taken you seriously, were you ready to go without him or no?
Man, that's a good question. I don't know. I was kind of a young buck back then, so a lot of things were different. I think I would have eventually gravitated my way out this way, and things hopefully would have turned out the same way. But that's a really good question. I don't know. Maybe we kind of kicked each other in the butt and got ourselves out here.
It's always funny. I mean, the guy called your bluff, and who knows? I mean, if he hadn't showed up that morning or that afternoon, who knows? Maybe you would have been like, oh, whatever, we'll push it off. And you know how it is. I mean, days turn into weeks, turn into months real quick. So anyway, you head out to the Bellagio, and I don't want this to whole be biography and everything. I want to get into some good questions, but I mean, it's a really interesting story to me because I mean, this is like you come from dealing, then you're dealing at the Bellagio, then you become a shift manager, and take us through like how you kind of ascended there to where you are now.
Another interesting story for sure. I always tell people always ask me all the time, hey man, how do I get to your spot? And, I'm one of those guys. I'm kind of an open book when it comes to success in business. I live by the philosophy that, if you're on the elevator, it took you down, it took you to the top floor, you should press the button and send it back down and help other people get up. So, I tell people just the biggest thing is just grind and learn. There's a little bit of luck involved, obviously. But if you grind and you really want something in this life, you'll get it. And that's exactly what I did. I honed my craft as a dealer. I took it very seriously. I said, hey, I don't want to just deal to the biggest games and the biggest name stuff like that. I want to be the best. I want to know Badesi before Badesi even becomes a thing. I want to know all these mixed games. I want to know what these high limit players, what they want, how they want you to deal and stuff like that. And that caught the eye of people saying, hey, this guy really knows poker. This guy feeds into poker, And I'm still a student of the game today. I'm the guy that's, I got 3 Twitch channels open already. When I get off of this, I'm going to be watching 3 different streaming broadcasts tonight, and they're all going to be exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I know you're watching the Bellagio, and our good friend
sure.
Rob Farhar is going to be on that, and that starts at 7:30. So right when I get the phone with Sean, you guys can head over there. What are the other 2 you're going to watch?
I always watch Stones live, and I always watch Live at the Bike.
Dude, you are. I got to say, who loves it more? Do you still like love the game as much as you did?
Probably more, because at this point, I think I enjoy it more and, from a fun side. I know I've fallen back. I don't study the game like the guys that really want to be professional poker players like I used to. So I know I've taken a step back on that. So I just enjoy the game. It's now turned from a game where I'm like, I want to be super successful to more like my golf game where I'm like, I want to have fun. And, you see me on Live at the Bike. I'm actually going to play Stones in a couple weeks. I'm going up there the 15th and the 17th, and I look just to have some fun. That's what poker is to me now. From that side of the table. Obviously, it's all business from the other side of the table, but that's fun too. I mean, I'm sure you're going to ask me questions about some upcoming events, so I'm really excited about our summer schedule for sure.
Yeah, no, speaking of Stones, by the way, a shout out for Justin Curitis and the job they do up there. They do a great job up there. Big fan. I have to get up there at some point. My wife is like 14 months pregnant right now, though. If I leave the home for anything but work, I think she's going to cut my testicles off. Not lying. So there it is. Hey, speaking of wives, you are very, very quick to point out that you could do none of this without your better half, Shannon, right?
Yes.
Where did you guys meet?
She's sitting Vegas? Right here, and she's blushing and smiling and drinking. We're both drinking our glass of Cabernet. Yeah, I couldn't do any of this without her. That's for sure.
Did you guys meet in Vegas?
We did not. We actually come from the same hometown, believe it or not, and that's definitely a story for me and you over a beer.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a good one for sure. And let's just put it this way: the Cliff Notes is I went home for a wedding one time, and that just happens, and we exchanged information. We did the long distance thing for a few months. There was a thought that I was actually going to leave Vegas to come back home and possibly work at like Foxwoods or something like that. And it worked the other way. She said, "No, I'd like to come out to Vegas. Let me give it a try." And she's never looked back. She has loved it out here, and she's my rock. She's amazing for sure.
Is she a school teacher?
She is. She is a special education teacher, specifically with children with autism, and she is actually a doctor of special education.
That's pretty awesome.
I married a doctor. How about that, buddy?
Yeah, no, seriously, that's you definitely married up, no doubt about that. By the way, you and I have a lot in common in that sense, because your wife's hair was purple for a moment. My wife's hair was purple. You're into poker, obviously. I love poker. We do different things, but we both love the game. And then on top of that, both of our wives are teachers. My wife is not a doctor, though, so I'll leave it at that. Anyway,
you still married up, trust me.
Oh, I definitely married up. There's no doubt about that, and everybody will point that out to me. There's no doubt. Once again, guys, if you want to follow Sean, you can at the Poker Boss. Before we get into everything that is happening at Aria and all the excitement that's going to be going on, I wanted to ask you there's a few trends that are going on that I wanted to talk to you about. One is vlogging. It's kind of a hot button topic right now where a lot of people, there's a few people out there that are vlogging, basically, taking video of them playing poker. They walk into the poker room and they'll edit the show and everything, and they'll take video while they're playing. Now, I know back in the day, it was really, really strict in terms of you can't take a picture of somebody else. You couldn't take video of somebody else. Now, obviously, in this day and age, casinos have had to, kind of lighten the reins on that simply because what are you going to do? Just take everybody's phone away? There's nothing you can do about it. What is I'm not even asking about Aria, but what's your opinion on this kind of new phenomenon that's going on?
So, on one point, I am, anything that can bring exposure to our game, I'm a fan of. So I'll start with that. And, there are guys out there I am a fan of when it comes to the vlogging, guys like Andrew Nemi.
Yeah.
I mean, he does a fantastic job. Even like Daniel Negreanu started to do it and some other guys. All I ask, and this is from the business side, is if it's something you're looking to do at Aria, just reach out to me. Say, "Hey, Sean, what's the proper way I can go about doing this?" And I catalog to these guys and say, "This is what you can do. This is what you can't do." And if a guy like Daniel can reach out to me and text me and say, "Hey, man, do you mind meeting with me for 5 minutes? I want to know what I can and can't do." And if a guy like that can do it, I'm asking everybody else, say, "Hey, that's one of the biggest names in our game. give me the same respect. And Andrew reached out to me too. He said, "Hey man, what can I and can't I do?" Which is great. So obviously, we can't have people taking live video in a poker room, and we have to be able to protect two things. One, the other people in the room. We don't know whether you're going to show their face somewhere and stuff like that. And I know these guys will say, "Well, edit it and cut it, make sure no one's facing." But these people at the table don't know that at the time. They just see a camera at the table, and they, the red flags go up a little bit. They're like, "Hey, is that even allowed?" And then two, from a gaming side, there's a reason why we don't do the WSOP live. There's a reason why these WPT events aren't live. There's a 30-minute delay on all these things because gaming codes don't allow it. So I don't know. I know people will say, "Well, yeah, he's just taking a video to cut and edit later." I can't tell the difference because this is where the technology is today, whether you're on Twitch Live, whether you're on Periscope, whether you're on Facebook Live, or whether you're just recording a video. So there are some ways to do it, and there are ways that you shouldn't do it. And like I said, I can help these guys out because, again, I'm a fan of the game, and I want to bring more exposure. I want the learning side to be fun. I want the other side. I want everybody to have fun. I want people to be able to get that information out there. But there's just a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Speaking of Andrew Neeme, by the way, we are going to have him under the gun in a couple of weeks in the middle of arranging that as well. Once again, Sean McCormack under the gun here. So that was good. What about, let me ask you on a totally different topic, and I wasn't even going to bring this up, but we had a call in about it. What about like the antics of a hashtag king? Where is your tolerance level for people like that?
So, I'm going to have to decline answering anything to do with hashtag only because there's been some things that have happened recently.
Fair enough.
Within my own organization. But I have publicly come out and said, "Hey guys, we got to have respect for the game." Of course, I watched the Poker Night in America. I watched all the videos. I watched his antics. I watched things that were said by Sean Deeb and stuff like that. And I thought, you know what? The one person I'm going to give super kudos to, I think Ashley Deeb handled it better than anybody.
She's a superstar.
Oh my God. Another guy that married way up.
Oh yeah. Not even close.
So, there is a line there is a line inside a casino, and I can't speak from like an end like Poker Night in America because I'm not a TV producer. I'm not a poker producer. I'm not any of those guys. I'm just an operator. So from my standpoint, if that happens at Aria or anywhere, I can tell you within my organization, we would most likely ask that player to leave. Again, I don't want to speak on the specifics of the incident, but I will say, and I would tell Sean too, I've known Sean for a long time, and I don't know their past history, but if I'm looking at that as a fan and I don't know the past history, it looks like Sean got a little bit out of line too. I mean, the slow roll, stuff like this, that all of this might have been able to, maybe it could have not happened.
Right. No,
again, I don't know their history together. Maybe before they even went live, hashtag was pushing Sean's, buttons too. I don't know, and that's the side that I, as an operator, I don't get involved with until there is a line that we all know we can't cross.
Right. Well, I appreciate you answering the questions that he's allowed to answer. Hey, but you mentioned that you run a poker room and you are the director of the poker operations, but connected with you guys, you are actually kind of in the entertainment business now because there is Poker on the Strip live from Bellagio. How involved are you with that, and how did that come about?
So, big ups to Craig Lump and his team over there. He's my counterpart at Bellagio, director of poker operations over there. This is actually a project that him and I were working on for years, and I mean years. This was something. It's funny that there are certain places where things can happen very quickly, and then there are some places where it can't. And I am very proud of what they've done already. I know they've only done a couple broadcasts, but Bellagio is obviously still is the mecca of poker in Las Vegas. I mean, except for Aria, of course, but um, they've done big things already, and this thing with Twitch is only going to take them to the next level. I'm super excited, and trust me, I will be on one of these broadcasts here after the World Series of Poker.
I mean, is this something we're going to see at Aria
awesome
as well? You think?
What's
is this
that?
something we could see at Aria as well?
So we are working on some things ourselves. I don't know if it will be like live broadcast and stuff like that, but we are partnered with some people right now, and there are talks. I know I keep telling people on Periscope and on my Twitter page, I keep saying keep listening because big news is coming soon. I can tell you before Q3 is here, we're going to announce something that I think the people at home, the people that have come to Vegas, people that come to Aria specifically are going to really, really like. So stay tuned on that one. But yeah, we're working on something.
Hey, if you need a poker commentator, I know a couple of guys who might be free. I mean, they're not free, but they might be available. But for you,
Chuck, you're always at the top of my list.
For free, for you, it could be free. Not a question. Hey, let's get into something I do want to talk to you about. The Super High Roller Bowl exceeded even the loftiest expectations last year. It blew up. I remember when I talked to Maury over at Poker Productions about the commentary for that, and he said that he was going with Nick Schulman and Ali Najad. Part of me was jealous because I was like, I want to do that. And then part of me was like, wow, you couldn't have found two better people. This is perfect. They're so good together. And obviously it's fantastic. What was that process like, getting that together, and how excited are you for it this year?
Well, my excitement level is through the roof right now, obviously, and this year is going to be even better than last year, which people are like, how could you set the bar even higher? And I'm telling people, just watch and see. We got about 12 days left, and we're going to announce who our celebrity guest is. I'm really excited to let the world know who that is. I wish I could tell you today, and I know you want me to, but I can't.
Come on, man! You're not gonna give me the exclusive release right here.
No exclusive release, no hints, no nothing. But there's been a lot of guesses, and every single one of them is really good, and it's going to be an exciting show. Nick and Ali, I didn't know honestly when they, Maury's a genius. He just is, and the guys at Poker Central, they're all real smart as well. And when I first, obviously, Ali's been doing this stuff for years. I mean, the guy is charismatic. He's not just got the look, he's got the voice, he's got all this stuff, and he loves the game of poker, so it was good. And then I was like, I've known Nick forever, and Nick's a New England guy like I am, and I was just like, man, really, Nick Schulman, is that, and it just worked. It was perfect, and they fed off each other perfect. Nick's knowledge of the game was perfect. His dry humor was perfect. The way he set things up, it was beyond expectation. So, kudos to those guys for landing them, and then kudos to Ali and Nick for just being just who they are, and it worked. You can't hit home runs every time, and these guys blasted a grand slam. So I'm very excited to see what happens this year.
I hear by the way, over under the dog, is that dog over under 9.5 pounds?
Both the dogs I'm staring at are both over 9 pounds. I got a Beagle and a Terrier here. They're both just north of 25 pounds, but I do have a dog that is south of 9 pounds, actually south of 5 pounds.
Okay, that's the picture I must have looked at then. You guys have 3 dogs?
We have 3 dogs.
Okay, so you are literally you are as crazy as we are because we have 3 dogs as well.
Yeah, I always tell people, 3 dogs. They said it'll be easy. They said.
Yeah, how'd that work out for you?
It's a full-time job.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you take them to the dog park at like 2 a.m?
That we don't do.
Okay, because that's what I had to do when a couple of years ago. Actually, I want to say like 4 years ago. I was covering the World Series, and my dog was a puppy, so I wanted to bring her because I was like, okay, she was like, I want to say like 7-8 months old. So I brought her to Vegas, and my girlfriend at the time, now wife, would come on weekends. So I would play with my dog all morning and everything, and then I would go to work. I would race back to my rental, and then take the dog for a walk. During my dinner break, then I would race back to the Rio and do more commentary, and then afterwards I would go home, and then it was like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I would take the dog to the dog park, and it was actually cool enough where she would go crazy for 45 minutes. I'd throw the ball for her. We'd go home and we'd sleep in. But it's the only place in the world where you can take your dog to the dog park at 2 in the morning, and there were other people there.
Yeah.
It was pretty. Sure. It was pretty cool. Okay, so this year is going to be even better, but you can't tell us anything about what's going to be better.
Well, what I can tell you is the field is expanded. Obviously, everybody knows that.
Right.
The original field, we were planning on having the same exact field as last year, but it was such an overwhelming response to be on it. And we have a waiting list for this thing. It's crazy.
Oh, no doubt.
If somebody drops out, we actually have a waiting list. And, I can't believe how many people want to play this event for $300,000. It just shows you the power of being in this event. Everybody wants to play, from the businessman to to the pros and obviously our celebrity guest.
Can you put me on the waiting list?
Super excited. Can I put you on the waiting list? Sure.
Yeah. I just want to be on the waiting list, but just make sure I don't get called in, okay? I just want to look like a baller, okay?
You got it, buddy. I'll put you first thing in the morning. You got it.
Okay. Can you tell me anything that we don't know? Or no, you're not going to give me anything?
Something that you don't know.
Yeah, something that's going to excite people for watching this.
So I know that Poker Productions has in plans to stream this in a way that's never been done before. They are, last year it was like NBC Sports, and this year they're working on a global scale, like with a company that can get this just out there globally, streamed to all the poker fans out there and stuff like that. Obviously in conjunction with Poker Central, and this thing is massive. This thing is massive, and the field is fantastic. You have, obviously go to superhighrollable.com. You can see the list of players, and I'm telling you, if you are a fan of this game, you are going to love this production. If you are not a fan of this game, the personalities involved will still make you love this production.
If you're, in all fairness, if you're not a fan of this game, why are you listening to this podcast?
Well, that's true.
I mean, come on. You've got to have something better. If you are not a fan of the game and you're listening to the podcast, Mom, stop listening. Go do something else. I mean, come on. Hey, you're all in on Massachusetts, right? You're a Patriots fan, Red Sox, Celtics, all that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you think your Celtics have a chance?
It's going to be them versus the Cavs,
right? Of course,
for sure, which everybody knows, and
right.
They have home court advantage,
right?
Although that really hasn't done much for them during the playoffs yet, except for the last two games. This team is scrappy, for lack of a better word. They're the fighters in the league right now, and LeBron and them, most of them are seasoned vets. But, the Celtics are an X factor. Everybody just says, why don't we just get forward to the Warriors versus Cavs? And that's clearly the huge favorite right now. But never count the Celtics out. And if it's not this year, they are a contender the next couple of years for sure. They could end up with the number one pick this year, too, which is insane, given that they're the number one seed in the East. They just traded well and got this number one pick from Brooklyn. So I'm excited to see who they get in the draft, but before we even get there, I think they have a chance.
Would you trade the pick?
I don't think it's slim. What was that?
Would you trade the pick?
No.
No? Okay.
Who are you going to trade the pick for?
I don't know. I have no idea. But, if you could trade the pick for a player, a veteran that could theoretically put you over the hump now, would you do it? Or are you going to draft somebody that might not be ready to really contribute for 3 years or 2 years?
Oh, man. See, that's a question for Danny Ainge right there.
Right.
If I was that good, I'd be in their front office. That's for sure. But, Man, I don't know. I guess it would depend who is an unrestricted free agent right now.
Right.
And I know, like, a team like the Clippers, they're dismantled. But I mean, that team, who would we get? I mean, I guess Blake would be the only one we'd be interested in because we already have Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah,
Chris
you're,
Paul
and you're
is
not giving up.
amazing, but
There's no way you're giving up the number one pick for Blake. No chance.
no.
No
But
way.
see, I just don't know who's unrestricted right now, so I don't know who we'd take a shot on. But the class coming out, the top 3 guys coming out of college right now, they're pretty strong. So, yeah, I hold on to the pick and gamble a little bit,
What's your
Take a
sport?
shot.
What's your sport?
My sport of choice?
Yeah. Like, what do you watch? What can't you miss? Is it your Patriots, your
What
Red Sox?
can't I miss? My sport of choice, if I'm watching, is football. I can't miss the Patriots.
Okay.
I can't miss them play. And I am excited that Las Vegas is getting a team, and I run so good that the Patriots will actually be playing an away game here in 2020, the first year they're planning on being open, against the Raiders, and I will be in all Patriots gear, of course, as close as I can. Obviously, Tom Brady will be retired by then, but
There might be. Oh, who knows? I mean, according to Tom Brady, he'll still be playing, and if you keep your present position, I imagine there's probably a chance you'll have pretty good seats for that game.
might be.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about the Raiders in Vegas. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just a kind of a place that I will definitely go to at least a couple of games a year. Just fly in and be like, why not?
100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect thing. I mean, if you fly up, because right now, if I flew up to San Francisco or something to see a game, or I go to San Diego, it's like, okay, cool. I go to dinner, you have a night out, you have fun, you go see the game, and you come home. But for Vegas, it's like, man, I go down there, I play poker, I see some people, I can do business, and I see a game. It just doesn't get much better than that. So I'm pretty excited. Okay, Sean, I'm going to throw a couple of things at you because I'm curious. You have
Fire away.
ascended so quickly in the poker world that I would imagine you are in a position you probably didn't picture yourself being in 10 years ago, 10, 12, 13 years ago. You know what I mean? When you were dealing 12 years ago, if I had said to you, you would be, director of poker operations at arguably the best casino in Las Vegas, what would have you said to me?
Wow. If you said it to a 27-year-old Sean or 10 years ago, that you'd have got a funny response for sure. I probably would have laughed at you and went back to dealing. But it was, I would say, the dream for me really kicked in probably around 2009 when I started, maybe a little before that, when I started seeing the writing on the wall that my company was expanding with, things like Aria and there's been talks of other places they want to put casinos. And I was like, man, I really want to run one of these rooms. And, I've always been a people person. I've always, wanted to work with a team, my own team. I could say, hey, this is my vision for what I want to do, da-da-da-da. But, to say that I would have been director of poker operations, I would have been like, when you looked back then, the majority of guys running these poker rooms, they were all, quote unquote, the old guard.
Yeah.
These guys were, there wasn't a lot of guys like me and Craig in our, early to mid 30s running poker rooms. It just wasn't the way it was. And, the business model has changed, for especially the Vegas poker scene. So the model has changed. So the player base is getting younger. The guys running these rooms are getting younger. So 10, 12 years ago, I probably would have been like, no, I either A, didn't think I'd be ready, or B, there would be someone in my way with a lot more, a lot more seasoning to them. Like, I had a lot of tutelage, a lot of great tutelage, and I do owe where I'm at to a lot of people. Obviously, Doug Dalton, take him for one. Doug Dalton I will always say, did more for operations of Vegas poker than the majority of people. And he, he retired a couple years back. And
for people who don't know, who's Doug Dalton?
Doug Dalton was the previous director of poker operations at Bellagio, but he's been in it. He's been in the game for a long time. Guys that don't know, he did stuff at the Old Dunes. He came up through the Mirage, Golden Nugget, and I'm talking Golden Nugget when the Golden Nugget was, the premier spot. He's just one of these guys that's just, he was, he's friends with the late Chip Reese, with Doyle Brunson. He came up with these guys, and he was in the poker scene. He was the poker scene for such a long time.
When Vegas thought poker wasn't the way to make money, when they were making poker rooms smaller and smaller and putting more and more slot machines in, he was the guy like fighting that, wasn't he?
Yeah, 100%. And Doug was the reason why the World Poker Tour is, or should I say Bellagio is a charter member for the World Poker Tour. Bellagio is one of the original ones. I think there's 4 of them. I believe the Bike is one. I don't remember the other 2 offhand, but he's the main reason. Him and Jack McClellan. For those that don't know, obviously Jack was huge tournament director for the World Series, and then for Bellagio, and he's in the Hall of Fame even. These guys came up and said, they looked at what the product was of the World Poker Tour and said, yeah, let's bring this into Vegas, while everybody else at the time, you're talking like 01, was giving up on poker. This is pre-moneymaker. So these guys went out on a limb and said, hey, this is what we need to do, and they got it done. I
remember just the vision of the Bellagio when it seemed like, I grew up playing poker and everything, and when it seemed like every poker room in Vegas was getting smaller, the Bellagio built this huge, gorgeous room, and at the time, it was the only place to play poker, really. It was the place to play poker. And they realized, and I guess they just had the vision to see where it was going. At this point in your career, you've reached this amazing goal. You've attained, you've accomplished so much. Is there more for you to accomplish? Is there someplace else for you to go?
I'm always hungry, buddy. I am always hungry.
I don't doubt that. I know more. That. But what is there? What else is there? You're director of poker operations. Is there a next step?
Well, is there a logical next step? No, I'm at the top of, where my organization has me in the poker industry. So is there more from that aspect? No, but I still have more ideas. I have more. I am just, I keep telling everybody, just wait. There's definitely more.
What other interests do you have? Is there something else that you could just see yourself doing? I remember when I talked to, like Ty Stewart at the World Series. Ty came from, the NFL. He was working at the NFL Network. And I remember when I was talking to Ty about, what brought him over to the World Series, he said, he's like, I just realized that, the writing was on the wall that I was never going to get the kind of have the kind of input that I wanted to have when it comes to the NFL. And he realized that he could in poker, specifically with the World Series. So I wonder, is there something for you? Is there a different passion that you have that you could see yourself in, 10, 15 years, whatever?
Man, that's a good question.
I hate to put you in the spot, but you're under the gun. That's what I'm here for. I'm just curious.
That's your job.
Right.
Like I tell everybody, this is where I see myself. I just see my position and what I'm doing just growing and continuing to grow and continuing to bring more partners in. I'm glad I'm, partnered with the World Poker Tour doing the WPT 500. I'm glad I'm partnered with Poker Central now doing all the amazing things we're doing and growing the brand and industry more. But my passion as it stands right now is just in this industry. Are there other goals and stuff I have? Sure, personal goals, stuff like that. But from a professional standpoint, I'm doing it, and I just want to continue doing it better for everybody that loves this game. That's what I do it for. That's what gives me happiness and joy every day, is that I'm able to do not only what I love, but what seems to bring enjoyment to other people. Like you said, I'm in the entertainment business, and that's what we bring at Aria. We bring entertainment.
Hey, I don't want to blow smoke up your ass, but your story is inspiring, honestly, for me and hopefully for our listeners as well. Like I said, I mean, you're a dude who you were dealing, and there's nothing wrong with being a dealer, by the way. I'm not saying that as a slight. It's just to go from dealer to shift manager to director of poker operations in a relatively short amount of time just shows what hard work and a lot of hard work can do for you and passion. So hey, good job by you, man.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that.
Do you get to play at all these days, or are you just too busy?
Man, I try to. I don't play. I would say I don't play in Las Vegas very often. I do from time to time. I'll hop in a poker room, maybe a local poker room like Red Rock or somewhere around my house. But in the Vegas area, honestly, when I go play, I would say that I don't enjoy it as much in the Las Vegas area. And everybody's going to be like, oh, Vegas poker's great. Yeah. Honestly, when I sit down at the table and someone recognizes me and they want to talk about Aria and they want to talk about that, kind of takes the fun out of it for me. That's why when I travel, I really get the enjoyment out of it. That's why I go to LA. That's why, not that I don't get recognized out there, but it's just more fun. I can just be myself, kick back, have a drink, talk with people, be social, because that's how I love to play the game. But yeah, I don't play as much as I used to, or probably as much as I would want to at times. But no, I'm still playing the game. I'm still learning the game. I'm still, I'm out there reading books and stuff like that. I'm still watching. I'm watching Under the Gun just to pick up some pointers from guys you bring on, and to blow smoke up your ass a little bit.
Go ahead, blow away, man. I like it. Hey, are you any good?
You got it. At poker? No, God, I'm terrible now.
I'm looking. By the way, I'm looking at your Hendon mob. By the way.
Oh shit.
Hey, your GPI ranking is 120,000th. But you are way more popular than your GPI ranking. Okay? Your total live earnings $8,000, and your best live cash was 2,300. Are these true?
Yeah, I'll take it as true.
Wow.
I've never picked anything big in a tournament. I was always more of a cash game player. When I actually first got to Vegas, I specifically played. I played some Hold'em out the gate, but then I got passionate about mixed games, and I played for about a solid 20 to 24 months of straight 40-80 mix, and did rather well. Granted, the mix back then compared to today, we played like 08, stud 8, Badoogie, and deuce to 7. So that's really mild compared to what is in mixed games today. So if I ever wanted to go back to that, I'd have to do a lot of studying.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's funny. My dad walked by a poker room when we were in Vegas, and he asked what the mix is, because he grew up playing stud and stud 8, and my dad was like, "What are they playing? Who-see, Wacy, what?" I mean, he was just like, he had no clue. And I think to some level that can be a problem, because you get some of those old timers who are like, they don't even know what the games are anymore.
Sure.
And it can be a little intimidating, for sure. Hey, dude, listen, I'm going to let you go because in 2 minutes, all sorts of broadcasts are starting, including Bellagio. So you guys can check out that one if you want. I am recording the rest of this podcast, so if you want to jump over there and catch us in recording, you can. Sean, man, first off, congratulations. Say hi to your lovely wife for me and your dogs. I will see you in Vegas in one short month, my man.
Absolutely. First drink's on me, buddy.
Oh, I like this already. Okay. Hey, thank you.
And I got you on the list. You're locked up for Super High Roller Bowl.
Yeah, done. Dude, listen, how many people are ahead of me on the waiting list? I just want to make sure.
No, I pushed you to the top. I think you have a shot here. It's just 300,000. You're good.
Sweet. I just got to, I'm going to head over to Tasty Steaks and see if I can get some backing. That should be no problem, right? No problem at all. I'll just do markdown like 0.8. It'll be easy. Hey, man, have a good one, okay? I'll talk to you soon.
You too, buddy. Thanks.
Later, buddy. Sean McCormack, guys. Once again, you can follow him at The Poker Boss. He is the director of poker operations at Aria Poker. And what a story, like I said. I mean, this is a guy who was, he was dealing. He was a dealer. I mean, I'm going to give you his resume here. I've got it in front of me. 2003, He started dealing at Daytona Beach Kennel Club, and he did that for 3.5 years. Then he gets recruited, he heads over to Bellagio, and he deals there for about 2 years. Then he gets to become poker shift manager, does that for almost 3 years, and then boom, he's the poker room manager. I mean, that is a really quick ascension. And then obviously becomes director of poker operations at Aria. And if you haven't been to Vegas, I mean, Aria is, if not the best or the most respected or the most, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but basically just the fanciest one, I guess you could say. It certainly is up there when it comes to poker rooms. So, congratulations to him. Had some questions here I want to get through really quick, and then we'll call it a day. We already did our hand of the day from earlier on. Had a couple of spots from the tournament from last week that I'll go through really quickly. Key asked a question, says, I have a question regarding the World Series of Poker. Says, what is your take on selling action at the World Series of Poker smaller events, 1,500 and below, if I plan to only play 3 or 4 events over a week? I mean, I think that's really dependent on your bankroll. I think if you are a winning poker player, and, if this is the same Key that I know, you are, if you're a winning poker player and you're comfortable with the buy-ins, I'm not a big believer in selling action unless you're playing a lot of tournaments. I mean, if you're a tournament pro and you want to lower the variance, I can see selling action. But if I was looking to decrease variance and my bankroll could withstand, if my bankroll could withstand the variance, but I wanted to decrease it anyway, I'd probably be more apt to swap with some other really good players. If you can find 5 to 7 other really good players to swap 5% with, that could probably decrease your variance in a way that you'd probably be really comfortable with. Got a call in here, see who this is. Hello, you were under the gun?
Hello, yes.
Who's this?
My name's Safe.
What's your name?
Call me Sam.
Sam. Hi, Sam. How are you? What can I do for you, buddy?
Good, I had a hand I wanted to go over.
Cool. Go ahead, man. Shoot away. Just make it clear so everybody can understand.
Okay, I will try. How's this?
Go ahead.
All right. So it's a no limit hold'em hand, 2-5.
2-5, cool.
Effective stacks are roughly $750.
Okay.
Max buy-in's $1,000 in this game.
Got it.
And let's see. Okay, so like under the gun +1 raises it up to $20.
Okay.
And I'm on the left, and I call.
So you're UTG to 2, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
And then late middle position player calls, and then another player to the left of him calls. So we have 4 players to call, or 3 callers, 1 raiser.
Okay, and the last caller's like hijack?
I would say hijack or cutoff, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So you call. So you got 4. Both blinds folded?
Yes, I believe they did.
Wow, okay. So we got $90 in the pot, I'll say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, after rate closer to probably 80, but yeah.
Right.
So we see the flop. It comes out.
What do you have, by the way?
Oh, I have King, Queen suited.
King, Queen
diamonds.
suited. King, Queen, diamonds. Okay, cool. So King, Queen, diamonds, cool. You called under the gun 2. Sounds good. Just out of curiosity, what's your read on UTG 1?
Pretty straightforward player. Recreational, but likes to play a lot.
Okay.
Not super advanced, maybe like 1.5 level hand reading.
Okay, cool. Any specific reads on the guys who called behind you?
Loose, actiony players, regulars in the casino, but not nobody super good. The caller directly the first caller after me, pretty loose, especially post flop if he has any piece. But other than that, he'll play. If he doesn't have anything, he'll hold.
When you say loose,
he won't make just
right. When you say loose, do you mean more stationy, like he's going to call a lot, like he's sticky, or loose, like aggressive loose, like he might make moves?
I've seen him do both. More. I would say more sticky.
Okay, cool. So typical a typical 2-5 game. Okay, so you got a bunch of stations in there. Okay, so
Right.
you've got king, queen of diamonds.
Yeah.
Pot's $85 or give or take a couple bucks. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So flop comes out like queen 9 and I think it was queen 9-7
Queen
with
9-7.
rainbow 1 diamond.
1 diamond. Cool. Okay, keep going. What is the? Just so I know, what's the queen? Do you know what suit the queen is, or it makes no difference?
Doesn't actually play any relevance to the hand.
Okay, go ahead then. Continue on.
Yeah. Okay.
So flop's queen 9-7. Yeah.
So the pre-flop raise are checks.
Cool.
And then so I think I figure I rate to have the best hand most of the time.
Yep.
So I lead out for a small c-bet just to, being a rainbow board, not too draw heavy. I lead out for $40.
Okay, a little bit small, a little bit on the small side, but I don't mind it. Okay, go ahead.
So the next caller calls,
Okay.
and the other caller folds,
Okay.
and it's back to the pre-flop raise.
Okay. What does he do?
He makes it 140.
Wow. Okay. Okay, that's a lot of strength there showing. Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking about. So what's your thoughts so far on this? Because I'm kind of thinking whatever he's playing, he's overplaying it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, in all likelihood, he probably is overplaying. I mean, if he's a straightforward player, I don't know how many Jack 10s are in his range. Because that's the kind of hand that he theoretically, like a good player might play Jack 10 suited that way, to maximize their fold equity. It's not the way I'm going to play it most of the time, but it's fine. I mean, on a board like this, I think he might be. I mean, it really depends on who that player is and how he perceives you and how he perceives the other guy who calls. But generally speaking, if you're telling me that Under the Gun 1 is a straightforward player, I'm going to put this guy on, whether he has aces, kings, maybe ace, queen, maybe pocket 9s, something along those lines. He could even have 7s, something like that. He just doesn't have, because there's no flush draw out there, he just doesn't have that many bluffs in his range unless he's unless he's spewy, which you didn't describe him as. He just doesn't have very many bluffs in his range in this spot.
Right. I would, for the most part, I would concur with that statement. But I also, the check raise seems very, unusual.
It is definitely, it's definitely an unusual line.
And with a little backstory, within the last, I would say, half hour to hour at the table, this exact same situation came up where he raised and I was the only caller, same amount, $20, and I floated his flop bet. He checked again. I bet the same. I basically bet like $35 into the pot, and for almost a pot size bet, for almost a pot size bet, because it was heads up. And he did the same thing. He check raised me, and I floated it to see the turn, and then he put out a significantly large enough bet that I knew he was never folding for the rest of his stack, and I just got away from my hand. And I had a weak top pair, which again was, so a very similar spot.
Right. Okay, so
I thought,
this player has developed a pattern of possibly playing his value hands this way, like in a somewhat of a trappy manner. Like I said, I mean, I don't know the player,
right.
But I mean, if he did it the first time and didn't go to showdown, but he bet enough on the turn to commit himself, so we didn't think that he was bluffing. And like I said, there aren't that many bluffs on this board. I would probably give him credit for a hand. And you're in a tough spot because, you've got the guy behind you is still there, so you don't close the action. So your relative position is quite tough. I'm also a little bit concerned that you don't necessarily know if you're making two pairs even good either. If a king comes off, that completes the obvious straight, which is Jack 10. So I don't even know, short of a queen on the turn, I don't know how many turns I actually like. And I think it's definitely exploitable if you fold. But against a player who you don't think is bluffing very often, you might be able to make this exploitable fold. And it's probably, you're probably making money by folding here against this particular player.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I know it says, like I said, I mean, that's not conventional, and I would normally never fold here, okay? Against 95% of players out there, I'm going to call. But when he raises pre-flop in early position, and then check raises two players on a relatively dry board, I mean, just how often, I mean, like I said, unless you have some history with this particular player where you think he might be spewing or tilting, I just don't know what bluffs you're beating, and I also just don't know what turn cards you're going to love. I mean, what are you doing on a deuce if he bets 300? Are you just going with it?
Well, yeah. No, that's a good point. I put him on mostly like straight draw combos. Is where I was thinking he was doing this with, because I was thinking, okay, if he has aces or kings, or even a set of queens, or any set on that board for that matter,
right?
Isn't he going to just lead out since he has three players? Isn't he just going to lead out rather than give everybody a chance to potentially hit a straight that's out there or catch a backdoor flush draw, or
I think that's conventional wisdom, and I think, I mean, that's probably where my mind would go too. And I put a video out there like this, and I think I did a podcast as well on this, where we have to stop thinking that our opponents are always thinking about poker the same way we do, because I'm with you. I mean, I'm not. I hate the play of check raise. Like if I flop nines here, like let's say I pocket nines and I flop a 9, I don't like check raising. Because I don't really want to draw. I mean, unless I have opponents that are really sticky and never fold, I don't want to check raise this. I'd rather just bet. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, but I have to keep in mind though that other players don't think about poker the same way you do or I do. Now, this player has already shown a pattern of check raising with what we think was a value hand. So no reason to think that this isn't a value hand also. Anyway, obviously you called, right? I assume.
Actually, because of your statement about where I don't close the action, I gave that much thought because I didn't want the other player sticking around with what might be also another draw that I had to worry about. So I actually min-clicked it back on it.
Okay, I mean, you're giving both players a lot of draws here. I mean, we're going on a lot of limbs that, like, the first player opened under the gun 1 with Jack 10. Let's say he only opened with Jack 10 suited. And let's say he's only check raising with Jack 10 suiteds that also have backdoor flush draws. I mean, that's like, there just aren't that many combos. Now, if he has Jack 10 suited, what does the guy behind him have? The guy behind you. Are we going to give him 10-8, 8-6?
Bottom pair, 6-8.
Okay. So, I mean, what we end up doing is you basically end up driving hands out that you're beating by a lot. Now, you do drive out some of the draws, I guess, but I'm not convinced. I mean, I guess to me, the problem with raising this hand is you end up getting most of the hands that you're beating to fold, and anything that's beating you is never folding. Because you've got a pretty strong hand, but it's not that strong. So anyway, so you raise, the guy behind you, I assume, folds?
Yes.
And then
he gives me a stare and fold.
Okay, and then what does UTG1? What does our villain do?
He thinks about it for about 30 seconds, and literally looks befuddled, like he doesn't know what to do.
Right.
And not like any fake strict acting that we see at the poker table. And he decides to shove all in.
Yeah. And that's the problem. Now it's like, now what? You hate your hand. I assume you called?
Yeah, I don't love it. Yeah. At that point, the pot was so big, I felt like I was with my potential backdoor flush draw. I seriously did not think I did not give him a strong possibility of having, say, well, I'm discounting top set because I have a queen. So, one of the middle sets is possible, but again, based on the few hands I have seen this player play before, and I have played at the table with him previously. I don't see him play his super strong hands this way. So I feel like it's either an overpair or Jack 10. So I kind of, given that range, I felt like I had it at that point. I sort of built the pot up and put myself in a position where I felt like I was obligated to call.
Okay, well, let's give this guy a range. Let's give this guy a range. I've got Cruncher in front of me, so let's give this guy the range. Let's give him aces. Let's give him queens plus. Mm-hmm. Now it's going to be only one combination of queens, but let's give him queens plus. But let's distract. Let's say he doesn't have queens because you said that your read was that he was sincerely thinking about what to do, and it wasn't an act. So let's say he doesn't have queens. Let's say it's kings plus. Let's say it's, for some reason, he has like queen. Would he ever have queen 9 suited?
I don't think he'd be raising that hand in early position.
Okay, fine. So let's give him aces, kings, 9s, and 7s. Okay? And then let's give him jack 10 suited. Okay? You, against that range, just so you know, you are 26.9%.
Okay.
We're in pretty bad shape.
I was going to go somewhere around 30%. So
yeah.
Off the top of my head.
Obviously, if the pot gets big enough that dictates you've got to call from a mathematical basis, that's fine. But you've put yourself in this situation where, you've got 150 big blinds you started the hand with. You've got top pair, and you're like, I got to go with it, I guess. And what ended up happening?
Well, after I called pretty quickly at that point because I'd already more or less made up my mind, and he looked at me and said, I have no idea where I'm at. and I said, so you don't have a set? He's like, I do not have a set. And,
my guess is he has aces or kings.
And when he said that, I felt pretty good about my hand. And he said I had the same hand I had last time because I had no idea what he had the previous time. I obviously gave him a similar type of range. And he flipped over aces. Yeah. And I mean, pretty obvious after the fact, but the check raise is really what kind of threw me off, just because, again, you would think he would have been. In hindsight, I think now he plays his overpairs. I think he developed a pattern of playing his overpairs this way just to try to scare other people out of the pot so he doesn't have to see a turn or river card. And then when he gets action, he just doesn't know what to do, and he decides to just go with it.
Right. I mean, that sounds like it. I mean, and then I've talked about this before. I mean, the secret to success at a poker table is somehow figuring out a way to climb inside somebody else's brain and figuring out what their motivation is. How do they think? Why do they do what they do? In this particular case, obviously, after the fact, you can go, well, the guy's trying to get some value with his big hands, but then he wants to check raise big and just end the hand because he's scared.
Right.
And I think, the first time you played this guy and he check raised with a value hand was the first time, okay, it's got to be a clue that, he has a big hand. You flop top pair and you're going to lose some money on this pot. There's no way you're not. But I think when a relatively straightforward player plays a hand in an unconventional manner that seems like a value line, but it just seems weird, I am going to give my opponent, my straightforward player, I'm going to give him credit for actually having a value hand, and he's just playing it in a weird manner. I generally assume people don't bluff unless I see him bluff.
Okay.
And that's a terrible way to think, honestly, because everybody bluffs a little bit. And there are situations, I mean, Daniel Negreanu mentioned this once, by the way, Sam. He said, if things don't make sense, I end up calling. And I'm the same way. When the story doesn't add up, I end up calling. But this is a situation where, like I said, I mean, if the flop was queen 9-7 with 2 hearts, or let's say the flop was queen 10-7 with 2 hearts, there are some other hands that he can have in his range besides just, hands that beat you. But on a relatively dry queen 9-7 board, I just don't think he has enough bluffs that I want to give this guy 150 big blinds.
Fair enough.
Anyway, man, thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it, Sam.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky on the turn. I caught a backdoor flush draw, but I bricked out. So just to tell people what happened. But Yeah.
What are you gonna do? I mean, hey, honestly, I don't think your situation is all that uncommon. Anyway, man, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks so much for the call. I appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thank you. Have a great.
That was Sam, and I really appreciate the call, guys. Thanks so much. Honestly, you guys can call in too. Number is 323-825-5134, and you can call in. And that's just a situation where, his opponent kind of played their hand in an unconventional manner, and basically it took Sam out of his comfort zone. And I'm a big proponent of that. If you can do something just a little bit quirky and take your opponent out of their comfort zone, where they might make a mistake they wouldn't normally make, good on you. No, I'm not saying that this particular player did that on purpose. That wasn't his goal. He probably, was doing it because that's how he plays aces. But that was the result. Sam was clearly taken out of his, comfortable little box that we all play poker in. And that, caused a mistake that he normally probably wouldn't make. You know what I mean? Anyway, getting back to Key's point, what I was talking about in terms of, whether you want to, sell action or not, that's a personal thing. I mean, I don't know anybody's financial situation. But tournaments, there is a tremendous amount of variance and luck involved. And, if it's a significant financial, if it's significant financially for you, I am definitely an advocate for, trading with really good friends or selling action. I don't think that's bad either. But with some of the small ones, if you can't afford it, there's a tremendous amount of value in those. There's going to be a lot of bad players who play those $1,000 tournaments and the $1,500 tournaments. So, I mean, there's good players in there as well, but there's a lot of bad players, So sometimes it's not the worst thing in the world to run it up, and when you're doing well, then trade with other big stacks that are good players also. I think that can be a valuable thing as well. I had a few hands that I was going to go over from the tournament from last week, but we have already been going on for about an hour and a half, so I am going to call it a night. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We are here each and every Wednesday. Once again, if you want to check out crushlivepoker.com, the first and only site out there specifically for live poker, you can using the code DTA405. Head over to Bellagio Twitch stream or Live at the Bike or any of these great Twitches, and you can watch the rest of those shows. And I'm going to leave you with some Beastie Boys. Good night, guys. See you next Wednesday. 2 weeks, I will be in Barcelona. And then, of course, just 3.5 weeks away, the World Series of Poker right around the corner. Once again, thanks so much, guys. Love you all. Good night, Key. NM Grinder. Sam, thanks for the call. Michael C Poker. Yori. Mike Kendall. Thanks for joining us live. And if you want to join us live, you can. We are here each and every Wednesday night. Call in number 323-825-5134.
Keep it going full steam. Too sweet to be sour, too nice to be me. When on the top guy style, I'm not too keen. Try to change the world, I'm a plotting scheme. Mario